Hi everybody. Lacy wedding invitation wallets are very beautiful but also very expensive, and so in this tutorial I thought you might be interested to learn how to make them simply and cheaply using die cutting and pearlescent paper. What I've done is made a trifold wallet with a pocket, and I'll show you how to do it and solving a few problems en route. The first thing you need to do is to cut your card to size. So I'm taking a sheet of A4 pearlescent paper and I'm cutting it to 15 centimeters width, and as you can see I've stuck a ruler in place on the guillotine to make sure that I cut it accurately, because precision is quite important when you're doing invitations. Once I've done that, then I've got to score the card widthways to make the folds, and the first one that I'm going to be doing is the outer fold, which is the lacy bit, and here I've got an Elizabeth Craft Designs die which is 7.5 centimeters wide, and so I'm going to be making my first score line 8 centimeters in from the outside edge. The next bit that I want is the middle where I'm going to stick the invitation, which is A6, so I'm going to make that 11 centimeters, giving me plenty of room. And then what that does is leave the third section, which will be the pocket fold bit, and that'll be 10.7 centimeters, so that leaves plenty of room for your RSVPs and any information that you might want to put in your invitation. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to mark the 8 centimeter score line. I'm using the envelope triangle that came with my scoreboard, but in fact using a set square might be even more accurate, but I do try for accuracy, and in order to do that I've got to make sure my measurements line up top and bottom. I've added an extra millimeter on for the width of the score line, so I'm measuring to 8.1 centimeters top and bottom. And once I'm happy that I've got everything absolutely straight, then I take my bone scraper and score the line, indenting the pearlescent paper firmly so that I'll be able to fold it when I need to. Once I've done that, then I'm just going to move my envelope triangle another 11 centimeters from the first score line and line it up again, and once again I'm going to be making sure that I have an accurate measurement and adding on that extra millimeter for the score line. So once I'm happy that top and bottom coincide, then I will score the second line, and that will give you your trifold invitation. But don't fold it at the moment because you want to run the die through your cutting machines. I've managed to complicate my project by choosing an incredibly pretty Elizabeth Craft Designs lacy border die, but it is in fact a pocket fold die, which means that it's got these edges which you should be folding in. Now I don't really want that shape, so the way around that is for me to partially die cut, and if I measure across the middle it is just under 13 centimeters, so I'm going to cut some birthday cards to make card stacks so that I can cut out the lacy design without having those edge bits that I really don't want. Once I've done that, then I'm just going to position the die across my card nice and evenly, and making sure that the symmetrical apex of the lacy design is absolutely in the middle, and again a bit of precision is required, and I'm going to measure that with a ruler. The card stock is 15 centimeters wide, so I want it to be at 7.5, and once I'm happy that it is in place, then I'm going to be using some low tack tape just to keep that die firmly in position. Now I'm using 300 grams per square meter double-sided pearlescent pink card, and pearlescent card seems to pick up a little bit of discoloration from the low tack tape, so I'm making sure that I stick it on pieces that are going to be waste and not bits that I want to use for the card, and I think that can be an issue with some of the fancier card stocks that we sometimes use. But once I've got that stuck down, then the next thing to do is to get my card stack and use them, and I'm just positioning them carefully on the bottom here between the lines, which obviously are on the other side, but you can see by the little curve where you want your card to be. So that is just 3, which is just not enough. So I've got another 3 cards here, which I'm placing on top, and I know by trial and error that that is not far off. So I'm just going to add one more thin piece of card, which obviously the length doesn't matter of the card, it's the width, as long as you're covering the whole of your die. So I'm just positioning that on there, and as you noticed, I stuck the bottom one to the die so that it doesn't move. And then finally I'm taking my top plate of my Big Shot and I'm just positioning it carefully. Once I've run it through a sufficient number of times for my liking, I'm just going to take the top plate off, and then I'm going to have a look underneath, because I found with this die and this pearlescent paper, which is 300 grams per square metre, quite often it doesn't fully cut. So I'm just checking it, and these bits have cut quite nicely, but I hope you can see that this middle bit hasn't. So I am just going to do some extra pressing on that middle to get it to cut. I'm just taking, I've got some oval pre-cut card from another project, and that's 3 cards stuck together as well, of variable thickness, and I've learnt that adding in another card or 2 is necessary, so I'm just going to put that over. And then once you're stacking up, you can put any old shape really. I just want to get the pressure in the middle. And then I'm going to add one more piece of card just to make sure that I get enough pressure to do the job. And then once I've built up my stack, I'm just going to run it through a few times. I'm then going to have a look at my card and checking that all the bits are cut, and they look absolutely fine, so that should cut out beautifully. Then the final thing I'm going to do is remove my bottom card stack and then remove the die, which generally comes off very nicely. And all that remains for me to do is to ping out those little pieces. Once you've pinged out all the pieces, you're left with this very beautiful lacy die, and all that's left for me to do is to cut out these bits at the side using my scissors to convert it into a lovely lacy fold for the wedding invitation. The next thing to do is to cut out your corner pocket pieces. After you've punched out all the little holes, actually got to be able to stick this in place on the card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend along the scoring lines, and obviously I want it folded back in, but in the first place what I do is score along the lines as seen. So I'm just taking it along the edge of this chopping board just to give me an edge, and use my ruler just to brace it so that I can just push the side pieces up, and that just bends along the score line. Now those of sharp observation will realise that at the moment I'm folding it the wrong way, but that's just to get that edge going, because it doesn't indent that well on the opposite side. Once I've done that, then I'm just going to turn it over, and I'm going to run my ruler along again, and then I can fold it the correct way and it'll go much more easily. And once I've done that, then I'm just going to take my finger, working from the corner point upwards, before taking my bone scraper and going along the line properly. And then I'm just going to repeat the same on the other side, and then it's ready to stick in place. So then, taking your outer pocket fold card that you'd made earlier, you can complete the wallet, and to do that you need to stick your corner piece on this side, And what I do is I use PVA glue and I just run it along these edges and just stick it in place. Once the corner is stuck in place, you've got a very beautiful pocket to put your RSVPs and various information, and then your invitation can slot in the middle, and it makes a very elegant and attractive and inexpensive to produce wedding invitation wallet.